We are officially 7 months into the year, and we're obviously in the second half of the year, and I am 1 month post breakup. For the first 6 months of the year, I started off strong with a strong plan for my future. I knew exactly what I was going to be doing, I knew what my future was going to be looking like for the rest of the year, and slowly throughout the first 6 months of the year, that pipeline, that dream, that future slowly started being taken away from me to the point where it ended up in a breakup in the first half of the year. Being so close to achieving my dreams and achieving what I thought I was going to be doing for the rest of the year, I couldn't believe that I had such a setback. For the entirety of my university experience, I knew that as soon as I graduated, I would be living somewhere else and I wouldn't have to worry about thinking about my future too much because I had already planned that with this person. Just for that to be sort of stripped away from me in the literal month that it was supposed to happen, I couldn't believe that I had to experience such a setback and I felt like such a failure, even though I had just finished 3 years of my degree. I'm about to get that degree. I passed with quite a good grade. You know, I finished university and yet I still couldn't look at my achievements throughout the past 3 years of studying so hard because of one setback, and that setback was determining my future. It's hard enough being put in a position where you have to let go of a person that you've known for years of your life, not necessarily relied on them, but involved them in such a way in your life that you genuinely can't imagine going in different paths. You've joined the same path, you're going on the same journey which you have planned together, and suddenly you have to take a different road. And for me, that was having to move back home with my parents. I hadn't prepared myself for that even being a possibility. I had mentally put that side of my life and that past life behind me, and I didn't recognize that person anymore. I was ready to move forward with this new opportunity, living in a completely different city with one person I'd loved for so long in my life, and having to revisit the past. You're always told like you can't revisit the past, whatever. And being forced to do that in a place where you don't feel comfortable, you don't have a lot of opportunities, not having accessibilities, and living in a place where you feel trapped, living with people that you don't necessarily want to live with, when the love of your life is continuing that life that you were going to live together, but just without you. I've always said that I believe everything happens for a reason, and currently I'm still looking for that reason of why this is happening to me, but I'm sure that I will find that reason eventually. The one thing that people have told me the most is this is the time to learn to be comfortable with yourself and find out, what does Charlie like? What does Charlie like to do by herself? And I've sort of found that a bit difficult to navigate, considering I'm sure a lot of people can, relate to this. A lot of the time when people are giving you this advice, they are more than likely in a long-term relationship, or they're married, or they've been with their partner for 10 plus years. And it's kind of like, what do you know about being alone, essentially? But being put in a position where I am forced to be alone, I'm being forced to move away from a lot of my friends who I thought I was going to be 30 minutes away from, um, being in a house where my parents don't, they work a lot, so I don't see them a lot anyway, only in the evening. So I am forced to be by myself whether I like it or not. And if I want to go anywhere, that costs money, and I don't have a lot of that. And you know, the one thing that I've taken from this month of being forced to be alone is that I hadn't made any of these decisions. These decisions were made for me. I didn't choose the breakup. I didn't choose to be living at home. I didn't choose to be alone. These decisions were all made for me. And as uncomfortable as it is, being forced to be put in a position where you never thought you would ever be in will humble you so much more than any other life lesson will be. being forced in these situations, you will learn so much more than being stuck in a situation where you don't realize that you're stuck. With a lot of these things, you don't realize a lot about yourself until you're out of the situation. And for me, my journey now being alone it's coming to terms with the fact of my attachment issues and learning to detach. I have always been a relationship type of person. You know, I've been in 5 relationships my entire life. I've not been back to back. You know, with most of them, I've been single for at least a year before the next one. But still, when I am so emotionally attached to another person, it's very, very hard for me to see past that attachment and leaving claw marks in everything that I'm forced to let go of because I am so emotionally invested in everything that's important in my life and what I find important and what I love the most. I attach every fiber of my body to that thing, that situation, that person, whatever it might be. I think my setback for me now looks like, how can I move on from this situation? How can I move on from this person that I still love to this day and still cannot imagine myself with anyone else? And coming to sad realizations and at this moment of time thinking, I don't think I'm ever going to experience that kind of love that I had. You know, I don't envision myself with anyone else. I don't want anyone else. You know, I've kind of sat down with the realization that, you know, maybe it's okay for me to not have anyone and, you know, still appreciate the love that I had at the time because that's everything that I had wished for. I got a taste of what I wanted for my entire life. I got a taste of what I wanted for a set amount of years in my life, and I got it. And maybe I was meant to experience that temporarily, and maybe I'm just not meant to be with anyone. And coming to terms with that, it's hard, you know? I still love this person so much, and I still want to be with this person. But if that's not what they want for me, I can't force people to be in my life, even if that's what I want the most. I can't force people to change their minds. And I have to let go of that reality. I have to let go of the future that I could have had. And I've got to stop romanticizing what I could have had because that is not what's happening to me right now. That is not my reality. And I have to learn that it's okay. And I have to sit with this setback and I have to just keep moving forward because that is the only thing that I can do. The cruelest part about breakups is literally the only thing that will heal it is time. And you have to sit and mellow with that breakup. You have to sit with the heartbreak. You have to sit with your heart aching every single day. You know, I have to sit with waking up every morning and thinking about him because I dreamt about him the previous night. I have to sit with the fact that I'm sitting still loving him and he's out there and I have no idea what he's thinking. I have no idea what his healing process is. He probably is already over me, and if he's not, then he's trying his hardest to move on from me. And I think it's difficult not being able to reach out to that person and be like, hey, how are you doing? And how are you feeling and stuff? Because that's what I did every single day for years. And I was so involved in this person's life, and I'm the reason why that I'm not talking to them, or they're the reason why I'm not talking to them. And both of us are the reason why we are in this process because the reason why we're healing is to heal from the other person because we are both going through this breakup, whether he's the one that initiated it or not. You know, we are both going through a breakup, and it might be easier for him because he's the one that initiated it, but I have no idea. And he has no idea on my process. He might have a general idea because he knows me and I know him, and I'm the one being broken up with. So he probably has a general idea, but he'll never know for sure because he will never reach out. We'll never get to that point ever, probably, where we'll know. And it's so hard when we live in a world And especially for me, I live in a world where I need to know. There's such an intent and such a purpose for searching for the whys and why this happened. But I think from setbacks and going back to square one, you have to let go of being curious, because the more that you beg for the curiosity, the less you will learn from it, the less you will know, especially if you're in no contact. You're not in this person's life anymore. You're not in theirs. They're not reaching out to you, so why should you be curious? And it is hard because I am quite empathetic in that way. I want to know, I want to learn. I don't want to learn about anyone else but him. We are all human, and who are we without learning? Who are we without emotions? I'm not seeing my pain as weakness. I'm not seeing my cries as weakness. I'm seeing that as me being human and going through something. And I think that's what people should be feeling when they are going through setbacks, breakups, friendship breakups, whatever it is. If you're feeling something, you are human and you are allowed to feel that. It's not a weakness. It just shows that you can feel and you have emotion. And hopefully one day I'll look back at this moment and I'll be in a different position than I am, and I won't have stayed in the same place, and my life will look different.